Now, volumes work in cubic sizes. Now, here we're going to convert 54 cubic feet. So what I want you to imagine is if 1 foot is about this long, and I'll draw it here. If you imagine 1 foot is about that long, a cubic foot would have 1 foot this way, 1 foot this way, 1 foot this way, 1 foot this way, and then also 1 foot this way and this way to make a cube. Woo. So that is how big a cubic foot is. And this is used for whenever you're transferring stuff or measuring stuff in volumes. You can imagine boxes. We have 54 of these boxes that are all this size. And we're wondering how many cubic yards that is. Now, a yard, oh yeah, this is going to take my whole, if I start at this corner, a yard would be about to there. And then it would be about to there, and then about to there, and then it would go off in that direction, off in that direction, off in that direction. Can you see that a cubic yard is huge? Okay? Because how many feet are there in a yard? There are 1, 2, 3 feet in a yard. So you would go 1, 2, 3 feet up here. So if I think about looking on the ground here, because each of these squares on the tiles on the ground are 1 foot by 1 foot. And if you wanted to see what a yard would be, you'd have to go across 3. And a square yard would be a 3 by 3 square. Can you see that there would be 9 tiles in 1 square yard? And then when you build it upwards, if you went 1 yard cubed into that big square, there would be 27 of these little cubic feet in 1 cubic yard. So I'm going to erase this so we can actually see what we're working with here. The other thing that we can do is we look at our formula sheet and we see, is there a conversion in volumes between cubic yards and cubic feet? And on our formula sheet it says that 1 cubic yard is 27 cubic feet. So we want to convert 54 cubic feet to cubic yards. If you're able to do a shortcut and say, I know I need to divide by 27 so I can figure out my answer is 2 that way, that's great. If you don't know what you want to do for a shortcut, if you don't know should I multiply or should I divide, set up your proportion. We want to find cubic yards for 54 cubic feet. Our formula sheet says that 1 cubic yard is equal to 27 cubic feet. Multiply both sides by 54. Type it into our calculator and we find out that x is equal to 2 cubic yards. So if you have 54 boxes that are 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot, you could store those into a larger cardboard box that's 1 yard by 1 yard by 1 yard, and you would only need 2 of those larger cardboard boxes to fit all 54 of your smaller boxes. Again, whenever you're dealing with cubic feet, cubic yards, cubic inches, cubic centimeters, cubic meters, think about the size of them. Imagine them as a little box and how big that box would be. Five cubic feet. Again, I'll draw pictures just so you can imagine this. If that is a cubic foot, and there are 12 inches in a foot, this is how big a cubic inch would be compared to a cubic foot. A cubic inch is about, maybe about the size of an ice cube. How many of those ice cubes could you fit in that box? A lot, eh? Can you see that there would be a lot that could fit in that box? So now we're going to go to our formula sheet and see, is there a conversion between cubic feet and cubic inches? Yes.
Where is it under volume?
So it's under volume. We see that 1 cubic foot is equal to 1,728 cubic inches.
Well, Mr. JR, yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
Can you do 5 times, whatever it is?
So we have 5 cubic feet. We want to convert it to cubic inches. As Jordan already said, we could use a shortcut. Since we know 1 cubic foot is 1728, 5 of them would just be multiplying by 5. If you're unsure whether to multiply or divide, you can set up your proportion. We want to find cubic inches for 5 cubic feet. We know that there are 1,728 cubic inches in 1 cubic foot. Multiply both sides by 5, and you get 8,640 cubic inches. What was the answer? 8,640 cubic inches. Example 3. This one's going to be a little bit more difficult because on our formula sheet, when we look at our formula sheet, we can convert from cubic feet to cubic inches and from cubic yards to cubic feet. But we don't have anything that changes from cubic yards to cubic inches. So what we're going to have to do in this situation is change our cubic yards first into cubic feet. And then once we've changed our cubic yards into cubic feet, we can take that number and change it into cubic inches. So we're going to have to take 2 steps for this question because we don't have something that changes it directly on our formula sheet. So what we can do first of all is think, I have 2.3 cubic yards. I want to figure out how many cubic inches that is. Or sorry, cubic feet. Thank you. We're going to start with figuring out how many cubic feet that is first. Because we have a formula that 1 cubic yard is 27 cubic feet. You can either set up your proportion, or if you can see that the shortcut would be multiplying by 27. 27 times 2.3 is 62.1. I'll set up the proportion as well. So what we want to find is cubic feet. That's equal to 2.3 cubic yards. We know that there are 27 cubic feet in 1 cubic yard. Multiply both sides by 2.3, and you get x is equal to 62.1. So since 2.3 cubic yards is equal to 62.1 cubic feet, we can now say if I have 62.1 cubic feet, how many cubic inches would that be? Again, if you can see that the shortcut is, since 1 cubic feet is 1728, you could multiply by 62.1. And you get a big number. 107,308.8 cubic inches. If you don't see the shortcut, if you would like to use your proportion, we want to find out how many cubic inches is 62.1 cubic feet. What we know is we know that there are 1,728 cubic inches in 1 cubic foot. Multiply both sides by 62.1. And you get 107,308.8 cubic inches. So these first three examples have all been converting in the imperial system. Our next two examples convert within the metric system. 12 meters cubed to centimeters cubed. Here's a meter stick. How many centimeters are on a meter stick? Here's our meter stick. We can put it right on our board here and draw that whole length all the way along. Wow, that didn't really work. There we go. Draw it all the way. There is our meter beautiful stick. Okay, so if I wanted to make a meter cubed, wow. That's huge. 1 meter cubed is huge. How many centimeters are there in a meter?
21.
There's not 21 centimeters in a meter. There's 100. So 1 centimeter on here, if I measure it, is right here.
There's no line fix. Oh, it looks better.
It's tiny. Compared to a meter cubed, 1 centimeter cubed is tiny. If we go to our formula sheet, and our formula sheet says, if you're looking at volume, that 1 meter cubed has 1 million centimeters cubed. You can fit 1 million centimeters cubed in 1 meter cubed. So now when we have 12 meters cubed, the shortcut would say, if 1 meter cubed is 1 million, 12 of them would be 12 million. As a proportion, if you wanted to find centimeters cubed for 12 meters cubed, and you know that there is 1 million centimeters cubed in 1 meter cubed, multiply both sides by 12, and you will also get 12 million centimeters cubed. Notice on your formula sheet that on the volume thing in the third column at the very bottom it says cubic centimeters, and that 1 cubic centimeter is decimal 0.00001 meters cubed, and 1 centimeter cubed holds 1 milliliter. I don't know if you've ever had to go for, for shots for, what is it, grade 9 that you have to get a bunch of different medical shots? Was it last year?
Yes.
And when they give you a medical shot, sometimes on the syringe, they might give you 10 cc's. Have you ever heard that when they're talking about giving medicine? Have you ever seen cc's when they're giving medicine? That stands for cubic centimeters. And 1 cubic centimeter is the same as 1 milliliter. So if you were given 10 cubic centimeters, it's the same way as saying giving you 10 milliliters. So that's why they have that on there.
Isn't a needle round, not cube?
But it's a volume in there.
How do you fit a cube in a circle?
Now I'm not going to draw a kilometer cubed. A kilometer cubed would be going 1 kilometer in one direction, 1 kilometer in another direction, 1 kilometer high, and making a cube. That would be very big. They use those kind of measurements when they're measuring how much water is in a lake, because lakes hold a lot of water, or how much water is in an ocean. Then they use these larger kind of measurements like kilometer cube. So if you have 2 kilometer cubes, full of chocolate bars. And you want to convert it to meters cubed. We go to our formula sheet and we see that 1 kilometer cubed is
Can it be filled with carrot cake instead?
how big of a number is this?
Big.
It is 1 billion meters cubed. So 2 kilometers cubed will be 2 billion meters cubed. And you could set up a proportion for that as well. I think I won't set up the proportion for this one because I think you can see that if 1 kilometer cubed is 1 billion, 2 kilometer cubes would be 2 billion.